Shiva, could you hear me?
Your voice is not audible.
No, it's okay.
Ah, yes, hello, it's good, ma'am.
Yeah. How is your studies going?
Oh, pretty good, ma'am.
Okay. Light is visible?
Yes, ma'am, the slide is visible.
Okay. The previous class I could not take because I was facing some technical issue with my laptop. Okay. Now the classes it will be regularly scheduled. And okay. Now see. In the previous class, what we have studied about the glaciers, different means their types of glaciers, what are crevasses or the cracks that are associated with the glaciers and on which part they are found. Now, in this section, we will see about the geological actions of glaciers. Now, see, in the case of wind, river, underground water, whatever it may be, the geological actions that we have seen are three. That is the erosion, transportation, deposition. They are named accordingly in different types. But the main things are this, that is erosion, transportation, and deposition. Now, in the case of the glacier also, they have specifically these three geological actions. The thing that I'm writing is visible?
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Okay. If there is any problem, tell me. Don't be means quiet. In the case, the three geological actions, that is the erosion, the transportation, and third is deposition. Now, in the case of the erosion, what happens? The particular erosive action that leads to the means different types of landforms that are carved out by the glacier due to the erosional action. What are the three actions that are mainly present during the erosional activity? That are there are three types of erosional actions of glaciers. What are they? They are plucking. Second is rasping, and third is avalanche or avalanches. Okay. Now, in this case, what happens? All these three actions they result in different types of means um, actions over the bedrock surface and also the particular materials that are carried with the glacier and different types of landforms are created. Okay. Now, in the case of a plucking, what is the means plucking action? Now, generally we know that while plucking, what does that mean? In general terms, that we are have means removing some object from a particular surface, right? The plucking of the hair. We are removing the hair from the forehead. It is called as the plucking. Now, in this case, what happens? The plucking action that is which is evident in the case of glacial movement is that whenever the glacier it is moving down a valley, what happens? This whole mass of ice it is moving and it has a particular heavy weight due to which what happens? There is a pressure on the bedrock and it consists of different components or we can say boulders or different fragments, rock fragments that are carried along with it, along with the glacier. Now, these rock fragments are how they are means incorporated within the body of glacier. This is the particular action by which these rock fragments they are incorporated, or say the glacier is transporting them along with it. Now, in the case, you know that whenever the particular ice, this is the bedrock, right? This is the bedrock of the valley. Now, see, whenever the glacier is present, a part of the means melted water, it infiltrates through the cracks that are present within the bedrock into the subsurface regions. And whenever the water temperature it lowers, in that time, these particular water that are present within the cracks, they freezes. They results in pressure to develop on these cracked regions, and there is shattering of these type. means rocks at the surface, and these types of small either rock fragments of different size, say small size, medium size, large size, depending upon the fragmentation that is taking place, it is developed. Also, due to the particular pressure of the glacier it is pressurizing the surface. On corresponding to that, these rock fragments that are developed, they are also pressurized and shattered into smaller pieces. Okay, in this way, different rock fragments are generated that are means carried along with the flowing ice sheet, and this action of means carrying the surface rock fragments along with the flow, it is known as the plucking. Okay, now as I told you, this action which results in the rock fragments to be generated, what is called? It is called as the freeze and thaw. If you could remember, I have told you about this, that it is the freeze and thaw action that due to which the glacial rock fragments are generated, and the moving ice sheet, it plucks the rock fragments and it carries them along with it. This overall action is known as the plucking. Okay, now in this case, in this figure, you can see that this is the particular ice movement direction. So, in this ice movement direction, if it is the ice movement direction, this is the upstream side, you may say, and this is the downstream side. Okay, the ice is moving like this from here to here, right? In this case, what happens? Whenever there is a particular rock fragments that are generated, say the particular surface is like this type of surface is present. Then what happens? The particular ice which is moving over this surface, the sheet of ice, it results in a high pressure region that is developed in these regions, that is the upland regions of the glacier valley. Now, due to which what happens, I have told you in the regelation process that whenever there is a high pressure development, in that case, what happens? The subsurface layers of the ice will melt, lower part where the particular ice is plastic in nature. Okay. And these melted water, they will percolate through the cracks and the fractured zones within the bedrock, and these cracks and the fractured zones that will means afterwards they freeze, they will break up. Small fragments will be generated at the surface. They will be fragmented, and these fragmented parts they will be carried along with the glacier, because the glacier has a particular means, it has a high amount, means high velocity, as it is being moving under the action of gravity. Okay, so it will move along with the glacial flow. And on the downstream side, what happens? The particular action of plucking, it is predominant, because by here you can see that there is a particular higher gradient. Here the gradient was gentle on the upstream side, but on the downstream side, the gradient is high. In that case, what happens? The pressure it decreases, and there will be particularly refreezing action that will take place, and the plucking action here, it will take place more amount than compared to the upstream side. Okay, more amount it will take place at the downstream side as compared to the upstream side. Now, in this case, fragmented rock particles are generated and they move along with the glacier. They are plucked from the surface and they are taken along with the glacier. Okay, this overall process is called plucking. And always remember that plucking action, it is more means prominent, or it is occurring at a higher rate towards the downstream side of a valley. Okay. Next, see the second action, that is rasping. Now, you know that in the case of plucking, what I have told you, that the glacier, it is taking up the rock fragments along with it and it is moving downward. Okay, so in the case of plucking, what are the two actions that are most evident? That is, one is squaring. Remember, one is squaring, another is frost wedging. Okay, now you can say over the upland region, frost wedging, that is the second action, is most dominant, and towards the downland region, frost wedging is most means squaring is most dominant. Okay, squaring means what? Plucking, that is removing the surface material. They are squared out or plucked. These two actions are most dominant, plucking. Now, in the case of rasping, what is rasping? This is the process of particularly two things, that is abrasion and also called as corrosion. Okay, this is either abrasion or corrosion. Now see what happens whenever the rock fragments they are moving under the action of gravity or they are present at the lower part, right? This lower part, the rock fragments are present, the glacier lower part. Now what happens? The overall thickness of the glacier, see how much thick the glacier is, means that amount of weight or means the pressure is on the rock fragments, they are at high pressure. Now, these rock fragments, what will happen? They will result in colliding with the surface. Okay, they will be collided and they will be friction on the surface as well as they will collide with themselves also. They will result in collision with themselves. Okay, now in the case whenever they are colliding with the surface or the bedrock, abrasion is taking place, the particular process of abrasion. See, these rock fragments, whenever they are interacting with the bedrock or there is friction between the bedrock and the rock fragment, particular abrasion is taking place. Okay, and whenever they are also moving with the flow, they are colliding with themselves. Both of this action will result in the fragmentation of the rock fragments into smaller size and also will result in the particular bedrock surface. Say this is the surface of the bedrock. The glacier has moved over this path. Okay, so the surface of the bedrock, they will result in these types of particular striations to develop. They are actually small grooved like features develop at the bedrock surface. Okay, due to glacial action. Understood? Whenever the particular rock fragments that are angular in nature, they are moving over the bedrock, what happens? They are abrading, that is eroding these parts of the bedrock. And upon erosion, what happens? These types of particular linear grooved features will be formed. Okay, these types of particular linear grooved features will be formed. These linear grooved features, as it is seen that whenever they are formed towards the upland side, the groove is narrower and deeper, and towards the lowland side, the grooves they become broader and means less deeper. And finally, they mix with the bedrock surface. This is the particular cross section. That is towards the upland side, they are deeper, they are narrower. Towards the lowland side, they becomes less deeper and broader, and they mixes with the particular bedrock surface. Means they terminates. And this particular feature, it helps to identify the glacier flow direction. Okay. This particular process of abrasion or corrosion by the particular rock fragments that are carried along with the glacier within themselves and along with that with the bedrock is known as the rasping. Okay. Now see, in the case of rasping, what happens? If the particular bedrock, it is soft rock, made up of soft rock, then these types of particular features will be developed, grooves will develop. But if it is made up of hard, compact rock, then what happens? Due to the particular frictional effect of the rock fragment on the bedrock, particular bedrock will develop to be polished in it. Okay. You may see in the glacial region what happens due to the meltwater, there is slippery surfaces that are developed. Whenever the surface is slippery, that means what? That if the surface it was irregular in nature, some amount of frictional force would act to means it would not be so slippery. But whenever the surface is this is smooth surface, means what? Whenever the meltwater it is acting upon itself, this surface is becoming slippery. You may encounter it in many times that the glacial surface they are smooth in nature, the bedrock. And this particular bedrock means what? They are hard, they are compact in nature, due to which they had not been grooved in means in their sections. So these types of hard surfaces they are polished in nature. Whenever soft rocks are present, they are found to be grooved in nature. Okay. Now see the process of avalanche. Avalanching, as I have told you, whenever there will be en masse movement of the ice down the particular valley region, what happens? See how much slope it is. This slope is how much? nearly it is about 90 degrees, means steep slope. These particular valleys that are high in their slope or that have a steep slope, what happens whenever there is a slight disturbance within the surface of the glacier, say a block of rock had come and fallen over the surface. Now you can understand the ice that is accumulating in this region, it was initially snow. Now it had converted into ice. Now this ice is not so much stagnant, and whenever a block or any disequilibrium occurs, this particular mass of ice, it slides down. This mass, sliding down of this mass results in a huge pressure difference, and overall this mass is also sliding down. Okay, and you can see that how the particular glacier it is moving. This particular mass movement of the glacial ice under the action of gravity over a steep slope due to some amount of disturbance is known as the avalanche. This particular process is also results in the erosional activity of the glacier, and by this process you can understand the particular transportation activity in this process is very high, and huge boulders are also carried along with this glacier avalanches. Okay. Now, erosional features produced by valley glaciers. Okay. What are the particular erosional features that are produced by valley glaciers? Now, what are valley glaciers? I have told you these particular glaciers, they are found above the snow line in the snowfield region where particularly the glaciers originate. That is, they are the initial glaciers that are formed. Okay, they are the valley glaciers or mountain glaciers. Now, in this case, I have also told you about the cirque in your previous classes. Now, see, what are cirques? Cirques are actually these types of particular chair, you can say, whenever we are sitting in a chair, how does a chair it looks like? This type of particular chairs are present. You can understand if this is the sides of the particular chair, these are the side and the back part of the chair. These are called as the particular arm pit regions. Okay. Now these particular regions, what happens? They are initially the valley. It was completely present. This was completely present. Then there was particular erosional activity that occurred in this region, and this region was lost and covered by the glacier. Now, how this was happened? See, in this case, you can understand that this is the particular valley region. Okay. Now, with continued deposition of the glacier, snow from the particular precipitation of the snows that has taken place, the water it has resulted in melting and fragmentation of the side walls. Here the snows they were precipitated, and the particular water that had melted from these regions, the snow that covered these regions, they had infiltrated into the particular cracks and fissured zones. They had resulted in the freeze and thaw actions. They had resulted in the fragmentation of the side head rock regions, and these fragmentation had resulted in these types of particular depressions to be created. Initially, this depression was this much. Then this depression increased. Then with time, the amount of fragmentation increased. That is the freeze and thaw activity increased. More and more amount of snow precipitation, more and more freeze and thaw activity, and more means depressed region it was found. Okay. Now these types of particular depressions, they were filled by the particular snows. They were converted into ice and they formed the valley glacier. Okay. And this particular thing is known as the cirque. They are also called as the amphitheater shaped basins. Okay, they are also called as the amphitheater shaped basins. How amphitheater? You can see this type of particular basinal structure. It looks like we are sitting at this part, and this is the back part of our chair. So how do we sit? We sit in this position. This is a particular amphitheater shaped basin. Okay. Now from here, as the particular snows, they are precipitated, more and more snow precipitation, more amount of the particular circular glaciers are created, and they move towards the downland region. Like here you can see the overall cross section of the particular circuit that occurs. Okay. Now, next, what is that? Is the turns of the circulate. What are the turns of the circulate? Now, whenever the particular temperature it increases, what happens? The ice that had accumulated in these circuits, they melt, they completely melt, or some amount of particular ice may be present. Now, this melt water, they occupy this region, and this region results in a fog to form the circulates or known as turns. Okay, they are called as the circulates or turns. And whenever the glacier, the valley glacier especially, you can understand, whenever they are melting, means what the temperature, it is considerably high. That's why these types of regions, the temperature are increasing where the particular snowfields are present, and they are melting. In this case, it is a particular, whenever they are filled with water, they are representing the waning stage of glaciers. Okay, the waning stage of glaciers. What does that mean? That is the overall glacier cross-sectional area, it is decreasing, the glacier is melting, and the temperature is increasing. So if you are finding a circulate or a turn at a particular region, which is signifying that the waning stage of the glacier is going on. Okay. Now see, additives. What are additives? You know that this is a particular circle. This is a particular circle. At one part, this is a overall valley. Okay, this is a valley. At one part of the valley, we are finding at one side this circle, another side we are finding this circle. Initially, the circles were present at this position and this position. Okay, with deepening of the particular depression, headward increase of the glacier erosion, what happened? This is the headward increase. The walls of the particular valleys, they are broken about, and this type of depression, it has increased in this all direction. Okay, and the circles is that it has increased in cross section. Now you can understand whenever the circles they are increasing in cross section, what happens? The middle part that is present, it will result in a ridge-like pattern, right? It will be a ridge that is separating the two depressed regions. Now, this particular ridge you can see that is separating this circle from this circle that is present on the either sides or opposite sides of a valley. This particular ridge, it is known as the arites. Okay. So what are arites? They are actually the razor edged ridges. They are actually the razor edged ridges because you can see how sharp they are. Okay. They separate the two circles that are present on opposite sides of a valley. Remember this. Now, horn. What is a horn? What do you mean by a horn? That is, whenever we are talking about a horn, we means it is this type of angular feature, right? It is a conical angular feature. Now, you can see in this case what happens. This type of particular circuits, these are the circuit regions, right? These are the circuit regions. These circuit regions, what happens? They have grown in size, and the glaciers, they have moved in this direction. These overall circuits say overall this highland region had been cross-cut by formation of these types of depressed circuit region. Now, you can understand the adjacent circuits that are present, they are separated by the arites, they are separated by the arites. Okay, now all the particular circuit and the arites, they come and join at a particular region. They are actually radiating from a central part, right? This particular central part that is like a peak, it is called as a horn. Okay, horn is actually a sharp pyramidal peak. It is a sharp pyramidal peak that is produced by the headward growth of 3 or more circules. Remember, it is not 2, it is 3 or more circules. They result in a horn. Okay, 3 or more circules. They result in the formation of a horn. Okay. Now, next what we have is the call. What is a call? Call is also called as particular, the means depressed regions. Now, see, what happens? They are the depressions that are formed on the either sides of a particular arratus at the place where the head wall of the opposite circle they intersect. That is, see, here one arratus or the ridge is present, here another ridge is present, right? Now, you can understand in this section, we cannot find any arratus. Means what? Here overall the circles are present. Now, here in this case, slowly, there is a depressed region that is formed. These types of depressions, they are present between the arratus. Okay. At the place where the head wall of the two opposite circles, they are meeting. They are present in this region. And these types of particular depressed regions that are associated with the arratus, they are known as the col. Okay. Now, next what we have, see, in this case what happened? This type of circular region, when it is filled with water, they have converted into a tarn. What is a tarn then? It is a circular lake. Okay. Next is glacial trough. What is a glacial trough? Now, you know, in the case of the glaciers, there are different types of valley features that are present. Initially, what happens? The glacial valley, it is V-shaped in outline. With time, it is forming a U-shaped valley, right? Towards the valley of the mountain glacier, the cross-section is V-shaped because there the valley is at a high angle, but towards the lowland region, the valley erosion is predominant and glacial abrasion is predominant. That is, by this process, the valley, it results in a flat bottom and wider section. That is a U-shaped valley is formed. These types of particular U-shaped valleys, they are called as the glacial trough. They are the U-shaped, wide, flat, based valley regions. They are called as the glacial troughs. Okay. Now see, in this case, what had happened? This type of U-shaped valley, they had been created. They are called as the glacial trough. How they are created? They are created by the glacial water. They are drained from different types of, say, tarn lakes, say, different means types of particular features that are created on the upland regions. From there, the glacial water are coming. They are falling onto these types of valley region. Initially, this valley was small in cross section. With time, with the pouring of greater and greater amount of water, this valley has gained its cross section, and these types of particular flat bottomed, greater higher cross section valley are formed or wider valley are formed, which are known as the U-shaped valleys. They are called as the glacial troughs. Okay. Now you can see in this region. See, in this region, how the glacial valley cross-section was present. With time, see how the glacial valley cross-section is present. Okay, this is over a short region that the picture has been shown, but you can understand that how the particular cross-sectional area, it is increasing as we are moving downward from V to U shape. These are called as the glacial troughs. Now, see, what I have, it is there, that is the hanging valley. Now, in the case of the hanging valley, I have told you before also that whenever there is a fall in the, or there is a steep change in the gradient of the glacial valley, the type of particular valley that occurs is a hanging valley. That is, one valley is at a higher gradient compared to the other. Now, what happens? These types of U-shaped valleys that are created, how they are created? It means created at the lower parts of the glacial regions where the flow of water is high, and due to which these types of means broad flat bottom valleys are created, right? U-shaped glacial troughs or glacial valleys are created. Now you can understand that towards the upland region, this particular water that is being drained out by different valley or smaller cross-section valley, they are actually means at a higher elevation where the erosive action is less. Due to this erosive action, what happens? Their base or the particular means area over which it is flowing, they are having a means smaller cross section and a V shape. Right. In this case, you can see this is a V-shaped valley. What happens? Here, the erosive power of the water, it is less. As the water it is flowing, it is not eroding the bedrock much, due to which the glacier means glacial valley, it is not deepening. But on the contrary, as here the means region is at a low-lying area, the water is flowing at a higher rate because huge amount of water it is draining out, and overall the water results in the region to have a higher, deeper section. So in this case, this is the main means valley, glacial valley, and this is the tributary glacial valley. So the main glacial valley is the particular depth is high compared to the tributary glacial valleys, where the depth is less. And there is a gradient change that occurs. How? Because it is at a higher level and it is at a lower level. And whenever the glacier it freezes, the ice it looks like it is hanging from this region. Like here you can see, it is hanging from this region, right? Whenever the ice it will form in this region, it will look like it is hanging from this region. The same thing is given here. It is hanging from this region. And there is a particular main valley is present here. These are the adjoining tributary valleys that are present. Same thing here. These are the aretes, these are the horns, right? These are the aretes, horns. Similarly, these are the calls, the depressed part separating to adjoining aretes. And in this case, what happens? Overall glacier is forming, and the glacier, it looks like it is hanging over the main valley. This is the main valley, okay? And these types of glaciers, it is known as the hanging valley glaciers. Okay, these are called as the hanging valley glaciers. Always remember, this is the tributary. Here the tributary valley glacier is present. Here the main valley is present. Main glacial valley is present. Okay. And it looks like they are hanging due to change in the gradient. Next, what is we have is the truncated spurs. Now, you can understand in the case of a hanging valley, what happens? This is a very steep sloping region. The walls of the particular these means U-shaped valley, right? They are very steep, and whenever the water it is draining out from these region, or say some amount of ice it is falling from those region, they are falling at a greater speed and resulting in these types of truncations to occur. You can understand these types of grooves are created. These types of groove features that are present on the walls of the particular main valley region, okay, they are called as the truncated spurs. Okay. See, as I have told you, they are the tributary valleys. Okay, the hanging valleys they are found as a tributary valley. Next, what we have is the glacial boulders. Now, they are a simple feature to find glacial boulders because, as I have told you, whenever avalanche or the mountain glacier or valley glacier, they are coming from these types of armpit-like, chair-like sections, and they are moving downward. What happens? They are moving through a acute angle or a very steep gradient valley, and their flow is very high. Okay, rate is very high, and say by any chance avalanche is being created in this section, then you can understand that how much rate or the velocity of with which the ice is particularly the glaciers are moving downward. In that case, what happens? Overall, this region, the boulders or the particular rock fragments of any size it may be, they are carried down and deposited in the low-lying regions where the avalanche or the valley glaciers they are means particularly decreasing in their velocity. Okay. Now these types of particular boulders they are created in the present in the low-lying regions where the glacier has lost its power to transport these types of coarser fragments. Okay, these are called the glacial boulders. Next, what we have is the glacial scars. Now, see, in the case, as I have told you, whenever the glacier it is moving over the surface, that is, see, you can understand these types of rocks that are present, they are the bedrock regions, right? They are the surface of the bedrock over which the glacier has moved. Now, this is in the case of the when the glaciers has melted. Interglacial period is being represented here. That is, during the melting of the glacier, the bedrock surface has been, that means it is shown now. Now you can see how particularly the grooved features have been created by the moving glaciers. See how it had been created by the moving glaciers. These types of particular grooves that are created. Now, in this case of the grooves also, you can see how the grooves, they are particularly means showing a sectional view that is showing that the glacier has moved in this particular direction. Okay, these types of particular groups that are created on the surface of the glacier that shows the direction of the movement of the glacier down the valley, they are called as the glacial scars. Okay, they are called as the glacial scars. Understood? Now, in this case, what it is saying that these are the particular, as I have told you, movement direction of the glacial ice. This is the movement direction. So you can understand towards the upland region, I have told you that it is very high pressure is here, right? High pressure and here there was low pressure. So here mainly cross wedging action was present, right? Here plucking or quarrying, as you can remember. So, towards this, what happened? The particular rock fragments that had been present here, the glacier as it has moved, you can see how the particular striations had been created, or the particular glacial scars has been created in these regions by the particular angular rock fragments. These are the rock fragments that are created by plucking, and as they were plucked along with the glacier, they had eroded the surface of the bed that had resulted in the glacial scars. And from here, as I have told you, here particularly the movement direction, it can be predicted. How? Because here the scars, they are narrow and deeper, and with time they become broader and finally they are truncated along with the bed. These types of particular features they are created. Okay, they gives the direction of flow. Next, what we have is the Roches Mountain. This is very important topic for the glacial erosion valley glacier. Okay, Roches Mountain is a feature that is found in the valley glacier. Now, what is a Roche Mountain? Now, see, this is the particular movement. Means this direction the ice it is flowing. Now, you can understand that here the high pressure zones are present, due to which the melting of the ice is taking place. And with time, the particular ice that is abrading the surface, it is increasing, the abrasion activity is increasing towards the down slope side or the down valley side. Now, here particularly, the quarrying action is active. As I have told you, the quarrying action is active because with the meltwater that is coming, that is infiltrating into the cracked region and resulting in the disintegration of the rock fragment. Now, these types of features, what happens, it is very common in means those areas where particularly these types of elevated rock surfaces are present. Whenever the glacier it is flowing, say, this is the particular path of the flow of the glacier. The glacier it is flowing in this. It has encountered a hindrance like this. Okay, initially the surface, it was like this. It had been hindered. Now, as its flow is hindered by this particular means upland region, they will result in the means abrasion of this region. With abrasion, this region will be converted into this type of particular structure, where on the means upland side, there will be less amount of quarrying activity. Why? Because high pressure, meltwater generated, freeze and thaw action had occurred, means shattering of the rock fragments will occur. That will come to the lower part. And here, particularly, the slope will be gentler and gentler, and towards the other side, it will be steeper and steeper. And on the steeper side, there will be more plucking, more amount of fragmentation. Okay, as there is low pressure. So more plucking and more amount of fragmentation and quarrying of means plucking activity will occur. So the particular part that is gentler, that is the present on the upland regions, is known as the stoss side. Okay, and the steeper part where the plucking activity is dominant, it is known as the lee side. These particular features, asymmetric features with a gentler stoss side and a steeper lee side, is known as the Roche mountain. These are the erosional features that are formed due to the movement of the valley glaciers. Okay. And another thing is that towards the means lee side, these features are characterized by the joints and cracks that are present within the bedrock. This is mainly created due to the shattering activity. Next, what you can see is the particular Roche mountain. Now you can see how the Roche mountain can be identified. This is the ice flow direction. This is the gentle side. See how the steeper side is present. Right. Moreover, it is steep like this. This is the particular stoss side from where the means glacier has moved, and they had resulted in the plucking activity, due to which you can see here. Here particularly not so much fragmentation has occurred, but see here how much fragmentation, that is the rock had been broken, right? This is called as the Roche mountain. Another thing is the fjords. What are fjords? See, whenever here main thing that I have to tell you is the process of calving. Okay, the process of calving. Now, whenever the particular glaciers, they are moving downhill, at the point they will come and meet the sea, right? They will come and meet the sea, due to which they will be means icebergs will be created. That means what? The point where they are coming and meeting the seawater is encroaching into these particular valley regions, right? This particular valley region over which the glacier was present, this glacier, as it was advancing, it had come and met the sea offshore regions. And these particular offshore regions, what happens? As you know, that if this is the glacier, right? This was the glacier, if you could remember in that picture. This is the glacier. This is the overall region, that means valley glaciers are present. With time, the glacier, it is advancing, advancing, advancing. Here, see, that is the water is present. Now, with time, the glacier has advanced into the sea, and the seawater, it had percolated down and resulted in melting of these parts of the glacier. With time, cracks will develop in these glaciers, and these parts will be removed as slabs that will float on the surface of the glacier as icebergs. Okay. This particular process, by which means the glacier, it is coming and meeting the sea, and the seawater, it is also infiltrating these particular parts, and the glacier sheet, it has been broken or fragmented, and to form these types of ice means bergs, when if it is larger in size, or these types of particular ice fragments, they are called as the fjords. Fjords are specifically, you can say that they are the glacial valley where particularly they come and meet the sea. Remember, The fjords are the particular glacial valleys where the glacier they come and meet the sea at the low-lying regions. Okay, and the glaciers they are broken by the action of the mean seawater, and different types of icebergs are created or ice sheets are created. This particular process means within the means fjords where the glacier come in contact with the seawater and the blocks of ice they breaks from the main mass of the glacier and they float on the sea surface to form the iceberg. They are known as the calving process. Okay, this process is called as calving. Very important. Understood this process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubt from all these sections that I have covered?
Uh, Ma'am, I have a doubt on one of the feature, ma'am.
Just tell me.
Corey, Corrie, ma'am. Corey. I've read
Yes.
about this somewhere, but I'm not sure about it, ma'am.
See, whenever the circuits, what are circuits? They are means they are these types of particular depressed regions that are created at the means snowfield regions where the glaciers originate. That is, they are the main origination of the valley glaciers. They are the main part of the valley glaciers. These circuits they are also known by the name of Pori. They are also known by the name of first they are known as the card. Second, they are also known as Cordy, or they are also known as Botan and Cajadel. Okay, in different parts. Card, they are called card in Germany. Cordy, they are known as Cordy in Scotch and means Scotland, and Botan or Cajadel, they are called in Scandinavia. Not so much. Just remember that they are also called as Cordy. Car is also important, but this is not so much asked. This is another name of circumglaciers that they are called as the Cordy. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Like here you can see they are called as Cordy. Okay. These types of particular glaciers they are separated by the arêtes. This is the horn. They are called as the Cordy. Tarn is also known as the circumlakes. Okay. Any doubt?
No, no, from this part I have no doubts, ma'am.
Now see, the retreat mechanism of a fired or fjord type of glaciers at glacial front. Okay. Now see, in the case of the particular retreat mechanism, why I have means called it as a glacial retreat. Now you can understand in the case of glacial advance what happens. That is the valley glaciers, they're coming down the valleys, they're moving through the snowfield region, they're crossing the snow lines and they're moving down. That is that it is advancing. But in the case of the retreat, what happens? Whenever the glacier it advances, the amount of precipitation of snow it is greater than the amount of melting. Now, retreat means what? The rate of melting or the rate of ablation, that is by melting or evaporation, the loss of the snow, it occurs, it is higher compared to the precipitation of the snow at the snowfield region. Then only the retreat of the glacier will take place. These glacier will finally melt. Now see, how much means particular cross section, it was means length of the valley, it was occupying. This particular length that the glacier was occupying, it was not initially this complete region it occupied. First, it was present here, then it came here. This overall process of the movement of the glacier down the hill is known as the glacial advance. Now, with the calving activity that is present in the fire types of glaciers, what happens? This calving activity means what? The seawater it is encroaching into these valleys, and due to the encroachment of the seawater, the partial melting of the glacial slabs is taking place, and with time, these glacial slabs are broken into pieces of or slabs of ice. These slabs of ice, if it is huge, it is known as icebergs or ice sheets or pieces of ice, right? These particular ice, they float over the sea, and overall glacier, it is decreasing in size. See, more the amount of calving, more is the glacial retreat. More the amount of calving, and more is the encroachment of the seawater into the glacial valleys. Okay, this particular calving activity results in the retreat mechanism of the seawater, by which epyoid types of glaciers are created. Okay, this is the particular mechanism. Now, sir, any doubt?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. So in this section, this is a particular means for the valley glaciers I'm telling you. Okay. Remember that this is for the valley glaciers. They are the erosional features. Now, next class, we will see about the depositional features of the valley glaciers. Then we will see about the continental glaciers, different erosional, depositional features. Okay. Because don't confuse with it. One is for the valley glacier, one is the continental glaciers. Valley glaciers, they are present at the snowfield region above the snow line, where permanent cover of snow is present. But in the case of continental glaciers, these types of particular ice sheet glaciers are present at the lower part, where particularly the glaciers abrasion activity is dominant, that is below the snow line. Okay. Now, another thing, just a second. Yeah. In the case of the Cirque Glacier, as I have told you, that whenever in the case of Cirque Glacier, these types of fragmentation is taking place, means what? This means fragmentation is occurring due to why? The snows, they are precipitating, they are melting, they are going into the cracked regions. These cracked regions they are going into, with time, these cracked regions, they were covered by the bedrock overall region. This cracked region has been developed, or this depression has been developed with time. If this depression is developed, it is not developed suddenly. This is due to the freeze and thaw activity. This overall fragmentation of the head rock regions of the head means head rock region, and the side regions of the means valley is known as this overall process. Okay, it is known as nivation. It is known as nivation. This overall process of fragmentation of the overall means surrounding regions of the circulations, that the circulations is covering these surrounding regions, is known as nivation. It is a process of wearing. Okay, by frost action. This is called as nivation. Remember that nivation, it is taking place whenever the means circulations, they are originating by the freeze and thaw action of the head rock regions and the side walls. This is called as the nivation. So this was complete that I was telling you regarding this class. Yes. And another thing, in the case of hanging valley, you can understand whenever the valley, it is, see, this stream is coming and it is pouring down into the main valley region. So you can understand what type of feature will be developed. Can you tell me? This stream water, it is coming.
Ma'am, maybe like a waterfalls.
Yes, it is a waterfall. So waterfalls are associated with the hanging valleys. Okay. Waterfalls, they are associated with the hanging valley regions. They may be associated if the hanging valley is sometimes created in means of whenever there is the waning stage of the glaciers are predominant. As I have told you, whenever the particular valley glaciers they are melting, means waning stage are present. Because whenever the tarns or the circular lakes will be created, water is present. These lakes, they will be drained out, right? And they will come and meet the main valley. So how they will be drained out? They will be drained out through some regions now. And whenever they will fall into the main valley, these types of waterfalls are created. They are very common in the mountainous regions. Next, okay, this was the part that I have to tell you in this section. And next, we will see about the deposition features, okay, of the valley glaciers.
Ma'am, while studying, I have some doubts in optical meteorology, ma'am. Can I send you the doubts, ma'am?
Okay,
In
you can.
optical meteorology.
Okay, tell me the doubts. What are the doubts?
Ma'am, I have a picture of that the question that I can't solve. It's a numerical question, ma'am.
Yeah, send me in my mail.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
No mention.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, ma'am.
Welcome. Welcome.
Ma'am, may I leave now?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, ma'am.